Well, good morning. Thank you very much indeed for excellent presentations. Again, my questions, I'm sorry Thomas, was sparked by your presentation, which I know wasn't your presentation, but actually it came out a little bit later on as well with Anders. There are clearly some fast-track solutions here that could be put to sea now. The MSI and Notice to Mariners was an example. You said the mariners loved it, and then you put up a slide which said IMO, IHO, IALA, and I thought, So we've got some IALA reps in the room. Can we have a discussion about something which can so quickly go to sea and be useful for mariners, obviously maybe in selected flag states or regions or whatever it might be, but can we fast track some of these capabilities that you've so diligently worked at to see so that the user who really needs them can benefit? Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thomas?
Yeah, well, we're doing what we can to fast track this, and what we're doing is that since we can't put equipment on ships, then we make web platforms. We already made something that we call the Arctic Web that gives different services for users in the Arctic region. And MSI and those mariners are some of that information being provided on that web platform, and we're extending that during Efficiency 2 to the Baltic Sea region, where we will make a Baltic Web available for everybody, all stakeholders in the region. Obviously, mainly the vessels. It will have MSI, it will have other types of information. We'll try to see if we can get information, also make services that will lower the administrative tasks for the vessel, because that will be a very good selling point for getting this to use. And obviously the shortcomings of that is that it will be used by some random PC on a ship with some unspecified internet connection, and it is what we have available to get to the users on the short track. So that is what we're using, and that is what we'll be doing. And then the idea is that we'll make the framework for making that available on the shore side, and then fast track it on web-based platforms on the ship side. But having the framework ready means that you can very quickly, easily, without making too much changes on the backside, get this into equipment and hook up to the existing services used by the web platform. So you can make a transition like that.
Does that answer it? Or
Yeah, well done. But the question really is, there are some themes coming out of ACCSEAS which could be fast-tracked to the mariner in a complex sea basin like the North Sea region. We've got some very, very clever people who put a lot of time into these ideas that could be fast-tracked to the user. We've got some very, very clever ideas from very clever people in a sophisticated sea space, which is what the North Sea region is. And the Baltic in particular is very, very sophisticated in terms of vessel traffic management. So here's an opportunity to, I'm really asking, what happens after ACCSEAS? Is it really we're going to roll these ideas into more projects, quite right, but are there one or two that we could pull out and get out there for the mariner to start using? And how do we do it? You're probably not going to have the answer to this, but there are people in the audience who could take a view on it, and we might say, well, actually, let's really try this one. Let's get it out there. Let's go and work it in the Straits of Dover, or let's work it up off Rotterdam, or let's go and do it in the Skagerrak. Let's get on and do it, because as you said, the mariner loves it. So why wouldn't we do it?
okay, well, I think it's a very valid point you make, and of course one of the ambitions for this conference is actually answers to the question how can we bring the achievements of the ACCSEAS projects further, hopefully in a global way. The point is, and of course, we've spoken about augmented reality. There's no augmented reality for international regulation. too bad, but I think it's a fact of life. So we will have to be, well, we will have to find a smart way to offer it to mariners without any, problems with the proper international organizations. But, well, that may be the challenge, but certainly a good point. And I think this will certainly be a point that we may come back on tomorrow, when we have the debate on, well, also the question what can we do to, well, bring the achievements of ACCSEAS to the global platforms. So, any other questions? Could somebody
someone that mic.
offer a microphone? Thank you very much. Wim.
Yeah, Wim van Buren from Das Paratage. I've got actually two questions. First of all, I'd like to start at the remark that Nick Lambert made. Why don't you start? Why don't you do it? That's a really good remark. And I would like to say that also for the PNT, the resilient PNT, what we've seen yesterday. Why don't you start with it? Because there are systems that are already working. But who's going to take the initiative? I don't have the answer yet. And I want you to give me the answer actually. But Mr. Thomas Steen, is this system actually going to replace the old system of NAVTEX and all the others? And if so, how are you going to cover the pleasure craft? The next question I will ask. Yeah.
Before you start, I know him very well, and he may be opening a can of worms. So I hope you can be brief but satisfying with an answer. But recreational craft may open up a full debate on recreational craft, which I probably will have to stop before we don't have time to break for lunch or to have time for other questions. But take your point.
Yes, brief enough. I think it should and it will, because that is just not contemporary or a way that you should be doing things today. It is an outdated way of doing things. And these mechanisms will have to run in parallel for a very long time in order not to cut anyone away from the information being required. But I certainly think that what we're doing with e-navigation also should be made available to the leisure segment. That is my take on it.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
We've already seen a number of apps, for instance in Australia I think it is, where they have apps available to them on smartphones. Of course you do sail outside coverage areas, but we see those developments going on as well. So adding to that, to what Thomas has said, I think we are covering the slowly, not within the project here, but there are work going on.
By the way, the system I mentioned, the first prototype of the MSI system, that information which goes to the prototype platforms actually also goes to an app that is available for the leisure segment. So that is already in the scope.
Provided that you have an internet connection, of course.
You always need that.
Okay, my next question is for Mr. Anders Burtje. On slide number 2 or 3, I can't remember exactly, you had a suggested route projected. However, I saw that this projected route was leading to a shallow patch, a shallow area. This is actually a conflict where the bridge team has to manage with, and maybe there's no time to manage that. Is there any initiative in your project that you're going to think further about these issues? Because still the bridge team has to decide where to go.
Yes, the bridge team already has to decide where to go, and if a VTS operator today suggests a route, it's still up to the mariner to decide if he wants to follow that suggestion or not. that means that it's still up to the navigator to actually check and double check and check again what route he was suggested to sail. So whether he actually gets it presented graphically or verbally, I don't think that it doesn't make that much of a difference. He would get it verbally first and then graphically afterwards, just as an explanation to what the VKS operator has said.
But do you see that this is an extra workload for the mariner? Even in this case that you showed us, they were led towards a shallow area. So how? Please pay some more attention to that in your project, please.
Well, you clearly got hooked on something which was on the slide. I might not should have used a different picture then, but it could also have been that it was shallow, but it wasn't shallow enough. It depends on the vessel. It depends on the draft of the vessel, and so on and so forth. So of course it's included.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
So, I think you made your point then. Yeah. So, any other questions? There's more hands back there.
Thank you. Jelle van Datema. We're a travel agent. I want to reply to your question on the gentleman over there on the TMPs. There is you proposed another alternative system that is, as you suggested, a web-based system, so you need an internet connection to retrieve the information, which is a combination of TMPs and further weather MSI information. However, I just want to make a point that at the moment there is the TMP information, to my knowledge, is available digitally via the TMP services as they currently exist. They are able to be retrieved into the ECDIS via what the UKHO currently supplies, the AIO. However, the problem is that 20% of the countries doesn't have the TMP information available digitally, meaning that there is a current system that does distribute the TMP information directly into the ECDIS, and whereas if 100% of the countries would have it available digitally, it would be able to be distributed via the weekly ENC updates, because then the TMPs would be integrated into the weekly updates. So my question is there a real need of an alternative channel to market? Because in the end, the TMP information needs to be integrated into the chart itself, and preferably via the weekly updates. And if those weekly updates are to be retrieved via the internet, and when vessels do actually have internet, then the route to market, meaning the vessel, is quite short already. So do you really need an alternative platform to be activated?
Thomas?
Ouch. I can't answer all that question because I don't know enough about this. I know for sure that the MSI is not formatted in a way to facilitate what I explained. It is not. It doesn't have that format. The way it is geographically referenced is not unique. I don't know enough about the PNTs. Also, in the cloud regime that we are envisioning, you do not have to have an internet connection always. It could be that in your maritime service registry says in this area you will only be able to get this type of information through that communication channel, which is not IP based. So it does open up for other non-internet based connections. On the TMP side, I don't have the information. I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry about that. First.
Francis here from Ayala. I would just say thank you very much for these very interesting presentations, and I'm very happy to see how far we are now with e-navigation. And I followed this e-navigation for many, many years now, and I think what has really changed here the last couple of years, and at least in this conference, is that we are now creating results that are valuable for the mariner at sea. And that's a big, big change, because we have used many, many years on conceptual discussions on what is e-navigation and not really taking us very far. But now we have results that create value for the mariner at sea. And that is a big step forward. And I'm not afraid at all that these things will not be used in a very near future because it creates value. And for the international communities like IALA and IMO and other, the big challenge is now to harmonize the things that we need to bring this to sea. The S100 and other things that are very, very important. And that work is been doing in the e-navigation committee in IALA at the moment. So that's very important. And I think if you compare to, for instance, home banking or things like that, it is the user-driven. It's because it creates value that it will come out there. And now e-navigation is creating value, so that's fantastic, and I'm very happy to see that. So thank you very much.
Thank you for this observation. I can personally only agree with you, Francis, and I think most of us will agree. Let's see where this brings us tomorrow. We still have different views, or may have different views from different user perspectives on the usability and so on and so on. But I very much agree that finally we're in a stage, things are really happening, whether you like it or not. That's a question back there.
Hello, my name is Wietse Nederland. I'm a teacher on shipping and transport college in Rotterdam, in the simulator department here nearby. I have a question about the notices to mariners, the MSI. I see a lot of text over there. And one of the troubles that we have in ACCSEAS courses is that text still has to be entered as manual correction in the charts. My question was, is it already in the S100 or to follow up on that one, thought about to symbolize it? Because if you see a drifting container as a text, that's an easy one. But if you see an area that there or a buoy or something just as a coordinate, it would be nice to have it in symbols. Is that already thought about? That's also the trouble with Admiralty Information Overlay, IO, as described by Datum.
Okay, your question is clear. You plead for symbols instead of a lot of text, and how that's going to be done.
To my knowledge, at least for MSI, it's just the MSI symbol. If somebody knows in the audience, I know there are several people that may have been more knowledgeable about this, but to my knowledge, there's no ongoing work in making a more detailed portfolio of symbols indicating different types of situations that could occur. That could very well be a good idea, but to my knowledge that's not happening. So we're just taking this symbol and making it graphically available along with the area of relevance, but that's really all.
Yeah, but it's question of symbology and what to display and how to display is something that we work on within the e-navigation strategy and implementation plan. So it's part of that work being proposed through the IMO. So I suspect there will be work on symbiology as well through this.
All right, it would be nice to see a yellow buoy instead of the text yellow buoy. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. There's another question back there.
Thank you very much. Rico Lakenman, Ministry of Infrastructure and the Environment in the Netherlands. I have a question for Mr. Brotje. I believe that in order to make a profound and reliable route suggestion in your system, it is imperative that all ships in the intended area take part. I mean, when you have 3 vessels in the vicinity of one another, and only 2 of them you know what their intentions are, can already undermine the system, I believe. So how do you anticipate to achieve that all vessels take part in the system?
Thank you. Well, we have looked at that, we have discussed that, and we realise that's going to be, for a period of time, the situation where we have participants and non-participants. And the general idea and what we've tried is, and what we've seen in the trials, is that as long as we continue doing what we are doing today and view the intended route and the suggested route as added information with those vessels that actually provide it, then it's basically added information. And it won't make much of a difference apart from increasing that situation awareness for those vessels involved, or that EDS monitoring those vessels that actually do support the system.
But adding to that, I think you're absolutely right that the value of having such a service is there when you have some participants, but it is much more evident when you have everybody on board. It does lower the value.
Certainly.
Obviously.
Okay, we have time for one more question, brief question, hopefully. Asking for a brief answer, but the floor is yours.
Sander Jansen, the Dutch pilot from the Scheldt. Yesterday I spoke about route optimization for port entry and things in the route topology discussion. I would have loved to join also the Maritime Cloud, because I agree with one person on the right and somebody in the back here that one key question is everybody should use the system, otherwise it's useless, especially for dynamic route transmission. And on the other hand, that's also the reason why we should start today, low profile, with maybe the most important thing of all, and it's transmitting your route. We should start a project where in the end all ships are transmitting their routes, and it will be internet or BIS, whatever, but we start setting our routes, and afterwards, only afterwards, when everybody's doing it, then you can put extra nice things on it, like dynamic routing, alternate routes and stuff like that. And I had this discussion with Christina Wojnarowicz, Claire Fargus from Maastricht Excel. They want to start a low-profile project on maybe a few container mines or companies to try to incorporate this system with dynamic routing just for port arrival optimization, and then only to see later what will come out of that. Why are we not doing this kind of things?
Okay, thank you very much for your question.
Well, we most certainly are doing that kind of thing. I'm sorry for slipping in onto another project, but within the current Mona Lisa 2.8, we are looking at strategic voyage management, dynamic voyage management, port collaborative decision making. That project is finishing up in December this year. This next project, which is being currently applied for, is the sea traffic management project, where we will have a demo including approximately 300 to 400 vessels in the Baltic, North Sea and the Med, where we will actually be doing that in practice every day. And we have a number of ports involved in that project, where we are actually looking at the specific thing, addressing it.
Yeah, because if you have implemented a thing like that, then from there on it can grow into all these nice ideas which are being ventilated here today.
Yeah. So the idea is to supply those vessels with updated or new active systems so that they can be involved in the exchange of information. We'll be using the Maritime Cloud for the information transfer. And so it's very much an interlinked project, and it continues with ideas brought forward in the ACCCSEAS and the efficiency, and originally the efficiency 2 will run parallel to the SCA project, and we'll kind of co-use resources.
Yeah, but it means
Okay, could I suggest that you, extend your exchange of views over coffee? So, not let people waiting and have another problem lagging behind. I suggest we break for coffee. Enjoy your coffee, but certainly also take the opportunity to enjoy the demonstrations in rooms 1